language teaching is all about accumulating your own experiences dealing with the students and also gaining a deeper understanding of the subject, which is the language structure, the features, and the things that you're going to teach. Okay? And as Oscar just mentioned, Chinese is a very different language from European languages, Spanish, and French. Okay? So I just would like to mention that the things I'm going to do just is a reflection of what I would do in teaching a elementary level Chinese language class, assuming that students have very limited knowledge in Chinese. Okay? And because of these linguistic differences, we ultimately also due to differences in pedagogical approach. For example, in our elementary level Chinese language class, you will feel a lot more emphasis on structure, and therefore a lot more emphasis on drilling, on practices, okay, and less emphasis on communicative activities. It's not because we as Chinese language instructors don't feel the need to have this communicative approach. It's simply because language is so different. And the orthography, as you will see later on, by itself is overwhelming to students without background knowledge in Chinese and in Asian languages. Okay. So the point here is that the generalizability of what I will do or show may be very limited, okay? But nevertheless, the good thing of attending orientations like this is that there will be some similarities of fundamental principles in teaching language, any kind. So that's something to serve as a foundation, hopefully, for you. And what I'm going to do in the next 20 or so minutes is to try to show what I would do, as I mentioned, and try to explain why I'm doing this, okay, at the same time. And I would assume you will be learners of Chinese, okay? I might invite you to practice, okay? And at the same time, if you have any question or any procedure, feel free to ask me, okay? All right, thank you. So the very first thing that I would do in beginning of class is to outline the learning objective. Objectives, obviously, this is very important because I want that our students to sense of what they're going to start to learn. Okay, so for the purpose of this demo, I'm just doing four. First one, to get a sense of the four tones in Chinese. Chinese is a tonal language, different tones can distinguish meaning. And to be able to greet each other, okay, I feel this is the most easiest part of any kind of language. To be able to introduce oneself, his name and nationality, to be able to ask for name and nationality. Okay? All right, first, tones. So what I do in teaching tones is to show the learners a picture so that they can visualize the differences between these four tones. And then I will give them some examples by pronouncing these syllables with different tones. So for example, the first one is ma. Ma. See, it's very high. The pitch is very high, right? It's flat. Ma. 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 The feel goes up. Right? Yeah, sort of. Okay. Ma. Third one. Ma. 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 Okay. 好，再来一遍。妈。妈。妈。妈。妈。妈。妈。妈。妈。Okay, so usually after this session, I will ask individual students to pronounce and for error correction. So, for example, Oscar. Okay.
Ma.
No. This is the second one. Okay, all right, this one. Ma. Okay. Okay, so that goes up. The second one, for example. Ma. Everybody. Ma. Right? Okay. So this phrase in actuality will go on for a much longer time. So make sure that everybody gets the correct pronunciation, and later on, this kind of drilling can be boring, so I want to show them the actual character. So very different, as I said, different pronunciations represent different meaning, right? So, ma, right? Okay, so we can do funny things like try to figure out the meaning of the following sentence. I will say something like, mama. What is that? Mama. The mothers go to the forest, right? Or the other way around, mama. Mama. The mother. Something like that. So students get a sense of, trying to distinguish different tones, things like that. Okay. So again, in actuality, this process will go longer. But for today, we will stop here for pronunciation. So the next one, I guess many of you know this phrase.
你好。
你好 ，OK， all right， 好，跟我说你好，你好，你好，你好，你好，你好，你好，你好，你好。你好，你好，你好，你好，你好. So I repeat, I would ask the students to say it and for error correction. So for example, 你好，你好，你好，你好，你好. Okay, so that goes on and on. Okay, so then we will have everybody together.
Is this for anybody we're talking to?
No. No, it's very common. Yeah, it's somebody you don't know well, strangers. It's kind of default. It's kind of a default, meaning you don't know this person, you greet someone for the first time, could be, but the actual greeting will be way more complicated.
Oh, okay.
Depending on age, hierarchy, things like that.
This is generic.
This is the most generic one. Okay. So, all right. So we would do the chorus like 你好，你好，你好，你好，你好，你好，你好，你好，你好. Okay, very good. So we will ask students to do this each other. Like one. If you want to try it. Okay. So as you can see in the previous slide, we have the transliteration system on top of the characters, but on this slide I removed it because I want our students to get a sense of the characters right from the beginning. Okay, so I want them to look at the slide, look at the character, and try to speak out the phrase. 你好，你好，你好，你好，你好，你好，你好，你好. So to build on that, right? Okay, so ni hao is something that they already know. Then we introduce something new. Students should already know about it. This is to introduce themselves. Right? So ni hao, 我叫. 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 我叫 Tom. 我叫 Tom. 我叫 Tom. 我叫 Tom. 我叫 Mary.
我叫 Mary，
我叫 Mary，
我叫 Mary，
我叫帅。
我叫帅。
That's my name. Okay. Now we can start to practice. So, 你好，我叫帅。
你好，我叫 Raul。
Very good. 你好，我叫帅。
你好，我叫安娜。
Okay. 你好，我叫帅。
你好，我叫大美。
很好，非常好。So I would ask the students to practice in small groups like this. Again, to remove the transliteration so that they get a sense of the characters. Okay. So, at this time, they should have learned this, 我叫 something. The students naturally would want to know how to ask about each other's name. Right? So that's why we introduce the question format. It's much longer. 你叫什么名字？你叫什么名字？你叫什么名字？你叫什么名字？你叫什么名字？你叫什么名字？你叫什么名字？你叫什么名字？你叫什么名字？你叫什么名字？你叫什么名字？ Okay. 你叫什么名字？ All right. So we will try to practice, right? Okay. 你叫什么名字？
我叫安娜。
你叫什么名字？我叫你叫什么名字 ？Okay. 你叫什么名字 ？Okay. You guys ask me. Very good. Okay. 我叫帅 Okay. Then we can continue to practice with that. Sometimes reading can be boring, so I came up with this rap type of things. Not really a rap, but just to add a little bit of spice, because Chinese language is a listening. Okay. So I will ask students to follow me. Right? 你好，你好。
你好，你好，
我叫 Tom。
我叫 Tom。
你好，你好，我叫 Tom。
你好，你好，我叫 Tom。
你好，你好，我叫 Mary。
你好，你好，我叫 Mary。
你好，你好，我叫 Bill。
你好，你好，我叫 Bill。
Okay, so I can ask you to use languages around 8 and get into small groups. Something more like 你好，你好。
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 你叫什么名字？
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 我叫 Tom。
我叫 Tom。
我叫 Tom。
我叫 Tom。
你叫什么名字？
你叫什么名字？
我叫 Mary。
我叫 Mary。
你叫什么名字？
你叫什么名字？
我叫 Bill。
我叫 Bill。
Okay, sometimes we can change the format so everybody here can ask a question and we have individual students to answer. So let's try that.
你叫什么名字？
我叫帅。
我叫帅。
你叫什么名字？Then we go on to ask the students to introduce themselves. All right, the last thing to talk about nationality. 中国。
中国，
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 美国，
美国，美国，
美国，
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 中国，
中国，
美国，
美国，
中国，
中国，
美国，
美国，
中国，
美国、
嗯哼，嗯哼，
美国、
嗯哼，
中国、
中国，嗯哼，中国，
美国、
美国好，中国，
美国，
美国非常好，非常好。OK， 所以你们可能还会想，人这个好，哎 ，That's very easy。中国人，好，跟我说人，人，中国人，中国人，美国人，美国人，中国人，美国人，Gloria， 中国人，好。美国人 ，Yeah， OK。中国人，美国人，人，一起说好，人，美国人，中国人，中国人，美国人 ，OK， 你呢？美国人，你也是美国人，美国人 ，OK， 中国人 ，OK， 好，你呢？中国人 ，OK， 我们有中国人，也有美国人，对吗 ？OK， 好，所以说。我是中国人，好，我是中国人 ，OK， 我是中国人 ，OK， 我是中国人，你呢？你是？
我是说，
美国人，哎 ，OK， 我是美国人，好，跟我说。我是美国人，我是美国人，我是美国人，我是中国人，我是中国人。Then I will ask students to go around and introduce themselves, right? Okay. So at this time, they know the answer. They would probably like to know how to ask the question, right? Okay. So, the question is, 你是哪国人 ？OK， 很好，好，跟我说，你是哪国人？
你是哪国人？
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 我是中国人。
我是美国人。
你是哪国人？
你是哪国人？
我是美国人。
我是美国人。
你是哪国人？
你是哪国人？
我是中国人。
我是中国人。
你是哪国人？
你是哪国人？
我是美国人。
我是美国人。
Then I will go around to ask the students this question. 你是哪国人？
你是哪国人？
很好。你是哪国人？
我是美国人。
你是哪国人？
我是亚洲。
OK， 很好。你是哪国人？
我是中国人。
他是中国人。好，你呢？你是哪国人？
我是美国人。
你是美国人。OK， 好。Then we'll go on, right? And for practice purposes, okay. So again, it's kind of a wrap to try to summarize what we have learned. So it's like 你好，你好，你好，你好，你叫什么名字？
你叫什么名字？
我叫 Tom。
我叫 Tom。
Okay. 你是哪国人？
你是哪国人？
我是美国人。
我是美国人。
So we'll go on for some time, and then we'll end up usually with a communicative activity. So if you can see the handout, the lower section, okay, what we do is ask the students to go around and talk to people. Okay, there are 3 requirements, and they have to use Chinese. They have to take notes. Okay, this is communicative because in the first class, students might not know each other well. So this is really based on their actual needs. You want to know each other, you want to know where they're from. Okay, this is real. Okay, but at the same time, we need to use Chinese. So language learning is all about learning its form, meaning, mappings. Right? So we try to lay out the form first, but we usually try to end with communication-oriented activities. So I would use student usually for this particular activity maybe 3 to 5 minutes to give them some freedom, okay, to go around, to ask questions, to note down their notes, and then I would sometimes give them opportunity to report to the class. Something like, this is my friend, his name is, he's from, so that they will have a better idea of the simple structures. Usually each class will end up with a summary. Very, very, very short. So the students should know what they have already learned in this class. Okay. If they still have questions, they go back and do more. So again, sorry about this short and brief demo. Sorry for twisting your arms to learn some Chinese. But I'm open to any questions and comments. Do you still have one? That was Andy.
This is more of a technical question, I guess, but how many characters on average does a student learn like in 1001?
1001, we can talk about, for each semester, we can talk about 200 or so. It's not very much. Not very much. And for average educated Chinese, we have to know 3,000. In order to be functional, to read newspaper, for elementary 1, it's about 50.
Now, that brings a very interesting issue into the whole equation. Learning foreign languages implies memorizing stuff. Now, the question is, how do we memorize? There are two ways to memorize. I don't want to take this spotlight, but I like to tell this to my students, and they seem to understand it very well. There was a point in which I could sing along with Hannah Montana. Oh, that party in the USA was the bomb. Oh my goodness. I sang the whole thing. I loved it. Then she turned into Miley Cyrus, but that's a different story. Well, how could I memorize Hannah Montana's song? Did I have any intention to memorize Hannah Montana's song? No, but I had a 7-year-old or 8-year-old daughter at the time. Whenever she got in the car, I am the official taxi driver in the family. Dad, the music, the music. I listened to that countless times and hours. There was a time that I could sing along. I started singing along, and I started liking Hannah Montana. The other way is, you take Hannah Montana 1001. I give you all of the lyrics, and by next class, I'm gonna give you a quiz on the first two songs. So you go home, you memorize them, and I didn't give you a CD or anything. You memorize them. Next time you come around, quiz is, write the first song from memory. You have two scenarios. In my experience, at least, we tend to do the second one. We give the lyrics of the Hannah Montana songs to the students. Next class in 2 days, I'm going to give you a quiz. The quiz comes in. So you come in with a quiz, and the quiz is, write the entire song right now. Not only that, we take pride on doing that college stuff. We've got to suffer through it. A students are the only ones who count. The rest, we don't want them. Well, I have news for you guys. Georgia State University this is an objective way to measure what we have. 60% of our students are on Pell Grant. If you don't know what Pell Grant is, students who are in high need of, say, usually socioeconomic goals. There's a correlationship between, socioeconomics and what we do at school. Many of our students are first time on a campus. We need to teach them to be college students. That's why it's so different for us to teach here as teaching, our neighbor's campus at Georgia Tech, in which the Pell Grant Percentage is, I don't know, but I venture to say maybe it doesn't get to be 10%. At most, maybe 5%, I don't know, I'm just making it up. But usually when I make up stuff, I'm very close. Or UGA, it doesn't get to be 10%. It's a very different story, you know, so we have to teach our students to teach students. Now, so in order to guide the conversation for the remaining 10 minutes, you just went through a very new experience, a language class in Chinese. How much of what we just did do you remember right now?
Yeah.
Can you hold that conversation? That's number one question. Number two question is, what would you do in order for you to ensure that the next class where students are ready to continue elaborating on this content of today's class? Those are the things that we have to think. We have to think in those terms. If we go back to the two scenarios I gave you, I had to memorize Hannah Montana songs over a long period of time. I was pretty much unwilling to do that, but I did. And when I did, I started liking it. Somewhere I read some time ago that you have to understand what you're learning, because when you understand it, it makes sense. When it makes sense, you like it, and if you like it, you get motivated. So it's a whole change or chain of events, you know? So I don't want to take more of the spotlight. Shuai, please go ahead. I'm going to sit down. I'm tired. I'm home. But think in those terms, please. If you have any comments or questions, please go ahead. Reactions.